DJ, what did you make of Laois's fantastic win over Dublin?
Well, I suppose the win over Dublin is phenomenal. Certainly wouldn't have been one that I would have been expecting. I think if you were to go back to the Joe McDonagh, I'm not sure that achievement was as big, as the victory over Dublin, because I certainly know a fair few of the Laois guys. They're fantastic hurlers. I would have been expecting them to come out of the Joe McDonagh, to be honest. I think they're a very good team, but I wouldn't have been expecting them to beat Dublin. So that's absolutely phenomenal, huge for the county. I know how much it does actually mean, and I suppose the Eddie Brennan factor is massive.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you'd know him well, I suppose, from around the scene in Kilkenny, and briefly probably played on the same team as well. What do you reckon he brought to Laois?
Well, I think he probably brought a lot of experience as to, working under Brian Cody was a lot of it, maybe taken from his own playing experience as well, because you can't beat playing experience. And then maybe saying to guys, look, and I don't know the exact ins and outs of Laois hurling, but basically he said, lads, if you want to hurl, come hurl and train. It's as simple as that. And if you don't, well, that's okay too. And certainly they've reaped the rewards for it.
How big, like in the context of big shocks you would have seen in hurling, how big is this? Are people overstating the magnitude of this win?
I don't think they're overstating it. I think, first of all, Laois would have went back to the Joe McDonagh Cup, so it would have been cast as being relegated. So there was a fair bit of rebuilding to do in terms of coming back up, which they've done quite quickly. They've bought into whatever needed to be bought into, and then so it's not the end result now because they have Tipperary to come, but the end up to today is that Laois have beaten Dublin, who have beaten Galway along the way. So that would be massive strides made, but it doesn't overly surprise me. Yes, beating Dublin does, but the quality of what Laois have doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because you know them very well from Carlow IT. What players that are on the current squad would you have managed?
Well, certainly you'd have Ender Oland would have been goal. Ryan Mullaney would be playing centre back with Laois. Picky Marr, Chad Wire. Then you have a couple of chaps that are on the, you have Stephen Berrigan, you have Owen Gahan, that are on the panels. So Mark Dowling also on the panels. These guys are good, very good players. And then obviously there's a few more players that went through Carlow IT that haven't either not played with Laois or haven't been picked with Laois. So, and these guys have played Fitzgibbon hurling, so they would have been the backbone of our team in, let's say, the glory years of Carlow getting to finals, semi-finals and quarter-finals.
And what sort of characters are they? Because, like people often think of Laois and they think of the rows that would happen in club hurling and think it's a dysfunctional sort of family, but what sort of characters are they?
It's certainly not dysfunctional, very dedicated guys. Look, it varies. When you speak about Chad Dwyer, you might, how's the weight? How's the weight with Chad? Because he fluctuates up and down, but he's in great shape at the moment. When he wants to, he's in great shape, a fantastic player. Picky Marr was brilliant for us. We were very unlucky that he broke his thumb one of the years and we missed him, and we were beaten by LIT by a point in a semi-final. And then he obviously done his knee last year, but he's a super hurler. In the Ireland, just probably the best striker of a ball in the country at the moment.
2 frees from inside his own 45.
Even his puck outs, even from as a seventh defender, when he gets the ball in his hand, he's able to pinpoint the guys. So brilliant at that, as well as a shot stopper, obviously. So these guys are seriously dedicated fellas, and it doesn't surprise me the achievement so far.
And what about Dublin? Like, that's a huge setback for Matt Kenny in his first year. I mean, people talk about the Joe McDonagh being the limit of the ambitions for Laois, but maybe Dublin, in a way, they had that win against Galway, and it's almost as if they eased up, thinking that the tip game was just on the way. Yeah,
well, it's very hard to know where Dublin are at. They would have been very disappointed with the under-20s to be beaten in under-20s, and then at senior level, I've no doubt Dublin would have been expecting to win that. They would have known they were in for a serious game. Anyone that was at the Joe McDonagh final could see how well Laois played, but certainly I would not have thought that Dublin would have been beaten on Sunday.
Is it possible that Dublin are suited to playing stronger teams when the job is to shut them down, but when Dublin have to open up a team that would be perceived to be weaker, that they probably don't have the class to put them to the sword, like I might suggest Tip might do this weekend?
But that's that's the way we have to read it. Put Dublin up against Kilkenny, and yes, they'll perform very well because they're really up for it, and they'll look at certain players and they'll target them. Put them against Galway, Wexford. They'll do the same. Even Tipperary. If Dublin were playing Tipperary next Sunday, I've no doubt that they'd have a serious cut at them. Laois, they probably wouldn't have been expecting Laois to be as good as they were.
And you give Laois much chance against Tipperary, like Tipper on the back of a very, very poor Munster final.
I didn't think Laois should beat Dublin, to be honest, and I have to hold my hand up and say that they did. It's very, very difficult to see where Laois can perform 3 Sundays in a row. But nothing will surprise me. I think that this is what would I say? Anything from now on is a massive bonus. For this game to be close is a massive bonus. For it to be a win is obviously even a bigger bonus than that. For Tipperary to win it well, it won't be a surprise in the sense of how do you keep coming back week after week and keeping up there on such a high wouldn't be a simple thing to do. So nothing would surprise me, but it's very difficult to see Laois beating Tipperary.